All right, going to show you the install here of these Teixeira Tech or TxT Mavar front lower control arms or A-arms. I've already got them powder coated. I went with Columbia Coatings olive gold, so a shade that kind of matches the new Can-Am RC model that I got. A bit darker, a bit brighter, but I think it's going to go pretty decent. Anyways, I already got the uniballs pressed in here, and bushings and Zerk fitting here. Also got the TxT front sway bar links. You do have to change the sway bar links. They put a really nice double shear install for these, so stock ones won't work for that. And new hardware, and this is the conversion from the stock ball joint, which just took the stock arm off, and so that's what you use to convert it, so you can use the uniballs instead of a ball joint here. So also already got the Mavar disassembled. I did another video on how to get these arms off if you want to check that out. All right, wanted to show you the bottom of these arms too as I continue to get these installed, but pretty nice. Got holes here for skid plates if you want to do some custom skid plates. I did already grease the bushings here, so everything's ready to go there too. I usually drop a little bit of grease on the misalignment spacer here that I drop in, just so they're a little bit easier to remove sometimes when you need to take them out. So anyways, drop those in. So one on the top, one on the bottom, and we'll get it installed. So we got the factory spindle assembly here, so just wanted to show you how these brackets go on. So basically these guys drop in here on the back side. You take out the two bolts that are opposite of these two and replace it with the bracket here and drop the stock bolts in there. So the hole kind of sits down towards the back so that it lines up with the stock hole here. The thing that caught me off guard a little bit was how to stack the spacers in here, but it's pretty straightforward once you see it. So you're going to want to drop this here spacer into here, and the problem that I had initially is that did not sit flush in there, and the reason why is if you look down in here, when you have the stock ball bearing in there, you can get little burrs down here kind of deep inside where that spacer is trying to sit within. So I just pulled it out and took a little bit of file here and just filed. You can kind of see where that line is there in the middle underneath the file there, but I could feel it in there, and now after I filed in here it's nice and flat, or no burrs basically. So now you can just take the spacer here and you can see it drops in and it sits flush with the backside here. So then you'll use the misalignment spacers, these spacers here. They'll go inside the uniball on the arm. All right, so I got the first one hung here. Pretty tight to get in, but that's a good thing. I did for sure find out that the best angle to put them in at here is kind of straight down, like I got it hanging here. It goes in pretty easy. You might Might recall when you took out the stock ones, they kind of binded. They wouldn't naturally fall down to this position. You had to kind of push them down to this position. So it's tighter if the arm is, you know, swiveled more into its normal position. So anyways, do it this way here. Went in fairly easy. I just used a thin socket extension to get one leg of the two kind of started through the hole and to hold it in there, and then you can work the other one in place. So I just used a long 1/4 inch drive extension. Worked really well. And what I did notice is it is hitting the skid plate here in the front. This is the factory skid plate I have on my RC model. When I went to do the other side, I couldn't get the arm all the way up in on this rearward side. So I'm going to go ahead and clearance these, give you a shot of this other side. You can almost kind of see here in the corner of the skid plate that I think probably even the stock one was hitting a little bit up in there, but it's also more so on this side. But anyways, I'll take the Dremel to that and clearance it. All right, got both arms installed and torqued down. So basically, before I torqued them, I just put a block up under the arm here to support it. But then you'll see once you get it all torqued down, it's gonna stay up there. So like I said earlier, once you torque them, they don't really want to fall down. They kind of stay in the position. Anyways, I did 135 foot-pounds here on the rear. This is also a good opportunity to do something about the bolts that typically come loose in the back here. So that's the UTV Race Shop retainer kit, and I also like it's kind of like a gusset plate too. It goes across to the other side. You can see the bracket at the top here. It goes all the way across, and it also corrects the oblong hole on this side of the arm here. So that should help a little bit. And I also did the UTV Race Shop retainer for the front bolt here that goes up behind the diff. I have a separate video on that, but 165 foot-pounds of torque on these front ones here. So now all we got left is the sway bar links and kind of finish everything up here, but go ahead and get the brake lines, get these little clips taken off of them, and put the Smart Shock sensor back. It clips in there. These guys are going to get removed. The brake lines just zip tie to some tabs on the arm that go along the back side here. All right, so to reinstall everything, basically you're having to backtrack a little bit here, but you want the sway bar off. You want your axle just sitting in here free, but down here at the bottom. Got the shock held up, and then I got the upper A-arm or control arm, that's tied up. So then I went ahead and inserted the whole knuckle here with the bolt here at the top. So it's just sitting here free floating now. So then you can go ahead and get your axle in there. All right, so the axle's all the way through. So then what you want is the bracket. You don't want to install it yet. The tolerances are really tight on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the arm in with the misalignment spacers in it, and then we'll put this bracket in and put these bolts in. All right, so again, you want this arm free because we're gonna have to pick it up. It's still under a lot of tension, so it's still kind of hard to move up and down, but you're gonna wanna get it up kind of close here to the bottom, kind of level here. I had also gone in here and with a long extension, gotten this, spherical bearing here, kind of adjusted properly. This is pretty hard to turn these typically, so you gotta get something long with some leverage in there. But I got that already kind of angled properly. There's a misalignment spacer on the bottom, misalignment spacer on the top. So now you're just gonna be able to pick up the arm and pull out the knuckle here. Get it sitting on the bottom. And you wanna make sure that you still have your spacer here in the bottom of the knuckle right in front of my finger there. But get it positioned in there. All right, so got our spherical bearing bracket here with the bolts in it. And we got the bolt that's gonna come up from the bottom here. So I wanna get the bolts out of this bracket first. And then we're gonna take the bracket, it's gonna go, inside. So you get that slipped in here. About where it's gonna go, lined up with the arm down there. And then from the bottom, slip the bolt in. All right, so you're probably gonna have to wiggle this a bit, move the arm up and down. Kind of the key here seems to be if you can get this flat and the arm up here flat and the spacer's flat, then the bolt's gonna slide up in there easy. But basically get the bolt up in there until it's just at the very top here. And then you can take your bracket and slip it in, get it lined up. So don't tighten it, put it close, and get your 2 screws. Slip them in. All right, so you got your 2 screws in. Again, you're probably gonna have to fiddle with that a bit, but basically you want all 3 of them somewhat loose to start with, and then just go ahead and slowly screw them in. Each one looks like it's going in okay. So here's what it looks like all installed. All 3 bolts, got the misalignment spacers in there. Basically, if you don't do it this way, you're not going to get things to line up. The tolerance on this bracket here is really tight, which is good, but the only way you're going to get all of these 3 of these bolts to line up is if you kind of leave them all 3 loose and then install them rather than trying to just slip the arm in. All right, for the actual sway bar setup, the end links, it looks to be about the same height, and so I went ahead and just measured the stock links that came off, and on center they're about 7 7/8. So I went ahead and set the center to center length on the TxT end links also to about that 7 7/8, and that ended up being about 3 threads showing on the end of each link. And basically both sides. So 3 threads on the top side, 3 threads on the bottom side. So I'll show you that here. So roughly 3 threads and 3 threads. All right, I got the sway bar links on, so I just want to show you how these are orientated. So bolt goes in through this side, and then Got the alignment spacers here, nut on the back side. And up here you want the alignment spacers on the inside, nut on the back side. Some of the bolts were a little bit long, so I ended up cutting them down a little bit, but I think that's 100% intentional. With them being a bit longer, then you get the shoulder under the misalignment spacers here, which is a good thing. So that worked out well. And put a little bit of Loctite here, and then I'll go ahead and torque these down. All right, so got everything done here, so I'll just go back over kind of the details here. But brake line comes down, got it fastened here to the clips on the side, and it's going to run down underneath the arm here. And I don't know how you can see this, but basically you have two options here. You can route it under the arm like I did, or there is a tab in here to secure it inside right there in the middle. It's a pretty tight gap with the CV boot there, and I know some other people have had some issues with it ultimately hitting the CV boot and tearing the CV boot. So I chose it to run underneath just like stock does. So it worked out pretty well. There's a 8mm hole. All of the holes on the bottom of the arms are an 8mm, so I just used the stock clip there and drilled out the clip a little bit more for the little bit larger bolt. But you can see, especially the stock wheels, it's tucked up under there pretty good, so I don't think this is going to be an issue. All right, so got my tie rods back on. What I would actually recommend doing first is torquing down the shock bolt here. You can see there's not a whole lot of gap here in between the tie rod, especially if you go with a bit beefier tie rod like I did, and these recessed mounts here for the arm. So it's just a little bit hard to get a socket in there to tighten that shock nut down. So do that first, then do your tie rods here, but these are pretty straightforward. Just break the nuts loose on your stock ones with them at the end here still sitting inside the arm to hold the end of it. Then you can break both your lower nut and your upper nut free, and then just do the opposite when tightening them or putting in your new tie rods. So everything's pretty straightforward here. The Smart Shock wire clips in here, so that worked out perfectly. I like it, actually kind of forces the wire to loop up over the axle just a little bit here. I noticed before the wire on the stock arms was actually sitting on the axle, dragging a little bit, so I think this worked out good. Got the sway bar links in here already done. And last thing I'll show you here is the shock bolt on the front. So I have the MTS limit straps, and what I found, hard to see here now, but basically the bolt that goes through here goes into this tube mount, so it's recessed a lot. So basically you need a spacer. It's an 1.5 recession, so I had to add an 1.5 spacer right here in the middle, where you see the actual tie down mount to where the end of the arm goes against the shock in here. So you're definitely going to need a spacer if you're running some sort of limit straps here like I am, just to get it spaced away from the arm properly. But got that all torqued down, all's good. And again, here's the sway bar end links. So that's it. Give you a little bit of an overview here now. So this is sitting down at kind of its normal height, so you can see the high clearance here. But overall, I just really like these arms. I really like how the gusset plates on the front here give it some pretty nice design on it, and just a lot lot of nice features on the arms in general.